Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our Tuesday, May the 4th, City Council meeting. I now call this meeting to order. Our pledge of allegiance and invocation this afternoon will be by Councilman Hester.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilman, would you like to bring an invitation?
That's true, Lord God. We thank you, Lord, for this day. We thank you for your grace, your mercy, and long suffering. Lord, we pray, Lord, this meeting will be done decently, Lord. We're going to give you all the praise, all the honor, all the glory. What's in your name, we pray.
Amen.
We have no special presentations this afternoon. Could I have a motion on minutes? Have a motion on the floor to approve our minutes and a proper second. Questions or comments before we vote? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Coonrod. Yes. Councilman Byrd.
Yes.
Councilwoman Donovan. Yes. Councilwoman Burrs.
Yes.
Yes.
Councilman Ledford.
Yes.
Councilwoman Hill. Yes. Vice Chairman Smith.
Yes.
Chairman Henderson.
Yes.
Yes.
The ayes have it. We already Now we move into your order of business from the City Council agenda. Under ordinances, final reading, Madam Clerk, if there are no objections from the council, I would like to take 5A and B together, please.
Item A, an ordinance to amend Chattanooga City Code, Part 2, Chapter 38 zoning ordinance, so as to rezone property located at 4200 Willard Lane from R3 MD moderate density zone and R4 special zone to R3 residential zone, subject to certain conditions. Item B, an ordinance closing and abandoning an unopened sewer easement located at 300 block of Tremont Street as detailed on the attached map, subject to certain conditions.
Councilman Tester.
I move to approve it.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion to approve with a proper second, items 5A and B. Questions or comments before we vote? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Hill. Yes. Councilman Ledford.
Yes.
Councilman Hester.
Yes.
Councilwoman Burrs.
Yes.
Councilwoman Donovan. Yes. Councilman Byrd.
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod. Yes. Vice Chairman Smith.
Yes.
Chairman Henderson.
Yes.
9 yes.
Motion to approve items 5A and B carries 9-0. Now moving to ordinances on first reading, Public Works and Transportation, Madam Clerk, 6A, please.
An ordinance closing and abandoning an unopened alley in the 200 block of West 25th Street as detailed on the attached map.
Councilwoman Dobbin,
Move to deny.
Second.
we have a motion on the floor to deny with a proper second. Any questions or comments before we vote? Councilwoman Dobbin, was that just a lay hand? Oh. Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Coonrod.
Yes.
Councilman Byrd.
Yes.
Councilwoman Donovan. Yes. Councilwoman Burrs.
Yes.
Councilman Hester.
Yes.
Councilman Ledford.
Mr. Chairman, point of order, do we need a public hearing on that?
This is an abandonment for right of way. Normally we just under zoning, we do a public hearing. Is that correct, Mr. Attorney?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Councilman Ledford.
Yes.
Councilwoman Hill. Yes. Vice Chairman Smith.
Yes.
Chairman Henderson.
Yes,
9 yes.
motion to deny is approved. Moving now to resolutions. Under economic and community development, 7A and B. Madam Clerk, would you please read together if there's no objection?
Item A, a resolution authorizing the mayor or its designee to enter into a second amendment to resolution number 30331, known as the collaborative agreement between the city of Chattanooga and the Community Foundation of Greater Chattanooga as the fiscal agent for the Ed Johnson Committee to commission an artist to design, fabricate, and install a sculptural artwork known as the Ed Johnson Memorial at Walnut Plaza to reduce the funds the Community Foundation owes to the city by $27,405 for the revised total amount of $262,790. Item B, a resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Economic and Community Development to enter into an agreement with Design Workshop for the development of the citywide parks and greenways master plan in the amount of $220,000.
Councilwoman Coonrod.
Second.
We have a motion to approve items 7A and B with a proper second. Any questions or comments before we vote? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Hill,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Hester,
Yes.
Councilwoman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dotley,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod, Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
9 yeses.
Motion to approve items 7A and B carries 9-0. Now, Madam Clerk, under Public Works and Transportation, 7C, please.
A resolution authorizing the administrator for the Department of Transportation to enter into an agreement with Urban Concrete Construction Inc. relative to contract number T 20003-201 for construction services associated with the 613 Grove Street sidewalk repair in the amount of $83,264 with a contingency amount of $8,426.40 for a total amount of $91,590.40.
Councilwoman Dotley,
Move to approve.
Second.
we have a motion on the floor to approve 7C with a proper second. Any questions or comments before we vote? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Coonrod,
Yes.
Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dotley.
Yes.
Councilwoman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilman Hester,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford.
Yes.
Councilwoman Hill,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
9 yeses.
So moved. Council, if you would pull your purchases out for this afternoon. And Madam Clerk, if you would bring in Mr. Tony Sanders or Mr. Vice Chair. Looks like you're host. Good evening, Mr. Sanders.
Good evening, Mr. Chair and members of council. We have a few new purchases and an RFP recommendation for your approval and to bring to your attention a couple of emergency purchases. All right, the first four purchases for this evening are from the Waste Resource Division of Public Works. The first item, mixer gear reducer repair services, being awarded to SPX Flow US LLC for an estimated annual cost of $150,000. Next, street and parking lot cleaning services. This is an approval that's needed for a reassignment of blanket purchase order 551092 with Clean Sweep to Sweeping Corporation of America due to a name change. Next, we have emulsion polymer being awarded to Polydine Incorporated for an increase of $200,000 for a total estimated annual cost of $450,000. Next, we have wet weather polymer being awarded to Polydine Incorporated for an estimated annual cost of $476,500. The last item coming from the Citywide Services Division of Public Works, we have tree removal, storm cleanup, and trimming services being awarded to Big Woody's Tree Service. It's an increase of $100,000 for a total estimated annual spend of $220,000. And that concludes your purchases for this evening.
Councilman Ledford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Can I bring in Bill Payne? I just want to clarify something on the last purchase item 558902.
Mr. Vice Chair, or again, Mr. Payne.
Good evening, Council.
Councilman Ledford has a question for you, sir.
Good evening, Bill. Bill, still getting a lot of requests, as you know, funneling through your office for streams and debris cleanup from trees and right-of-ways due to the tornado. Will this increase help us to continue that service that we're providing to the tornado-stricken area?
Yes, sir. To an extent, this will help us where we have tree issues that are recognized in the right of way. Many of the stream buffer areas, though, are separate from that area and would have to utilize a different avenue for being able to address that, which we know is something that TDEC is interested in. But this would primarily be for the right of way. We also do have this particular increase is needed. The Waste Resources Division has about 80 or 90 properties all around, all of which are needing some tree services performed. And so that's the primary reason for this increase.
Very good. And this effort, I know, was increased dramatically with the tornado from last year. So this helps to cover some of the, I guess, backlog work in other parts of the city as well. Yes, it would. Part of this increase is also because of some of that higher utilization throughout the year earlier in the contract. We've needed to increase it to get us through the remainder of this PO, which is in place until September. Okay, thank you, and appreciate the work you're doing out in the district for cleaning up the tornadoes.
Thank you.
What's the pleasure of the council?
Second.
There's a motion on the floor to approve tonight's purchases with proper second. Any other questions or comments before we vote? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Hill,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Hester,
Yes.
Councilwoman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dobbin, Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod, Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson,
Yes,
9 yeses.
so moved. Mr. Sanders, we do have some emergency purchases that we need to cover tonight.
Yes, before getting to that, we do have one RFP recommendation for approval as a competitive seal proposal instead of a competitive seal bid. And that item comes from the Fleet Management Division of Public Works. And it is for Fuel Management and Operation Fuel Card Program. And that's the only item for this evening.
Is that something you need council action on, sir?
Yes, those items, as we mentioned before, for us to be in compliance with city code, we need to, before departments, after it's being vetted, if it cannot be competitively sealed bid, it then has to come before council to get council's approval for an RFP process to move forward.
What's the pleasure of the council?
Move to approve RFP process.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to approve with a proper second. Any questions or comments? Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Coonrod, Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dobbin, Councilwoman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilman Hester,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilwoman Hill,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson,
Yes,
9 yeses.
motion carries.
We have 3 emergency purchases under the mayor's emergency declaration. The first 2 items are coming from the Department of Economic and Community Development. One is for extended emergency purchase of food for our displaced residents at Patton Towers. The supplier is Cracker Barrel Old Country Store Incorporated. An extension of the emergency purchase of food for those displaced residents for an additional 21 days, ending May 14th, 2021. The total additional cost is $36,000 to feed approximately 170 individuals at a cost of $10 per meal. The next item is a resident coordinator to assist in the coordination care for the displaced persons at Patton Tower. And that that supplier is Salvation Army. It is to provide one individual who will be managing that process for us, and that cost is at $12,000. The last item is from the mayor's office, and additional invoices for housing positive COVID cases for the homeless, also from Salvation Army. And that's from purchase order number 559515. It's an added amount of $38,500. And those again are invoices to be satisfied for those individual cases. And that concludes the emergency purchases for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Sammons. Any questions for Mr. Sammons under the emergency purchases? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Vice Chair, you can excuse our guests. Moving now to committee reports, we did have a couple of committees meet this afternoon. Public Works and Transportation met and covered all items on this week and next week's agenda. Councilwoman Burrs.
Thank you, Chair. Budget and Finance did meet today. We covered a bunch of housekeeping things that council needed to know about, disbursements, et cetera. Went over COVID-related expenses and income, talked about a contract that we want to work with, and I think that's it. It's mostly housekeeping and getting particularly the new members up to par. Thank you.
Thank you. Also planning and zoning.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Planning and zoning did meet today. And all items on the agenda.
And public safety did meet where we received our quarterly park report. Now, under other business, we do have a couple of IDB appointments or nominees for this afternoon. Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The first individual we have listed here is Ray Atkins. It's the reappointment, sir, in your district. I'd like to move approval.
Second.
We have a motion on the floor to reappoint Ray Atkins to the IDB with a proper second. Any questions or comments before we vote? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Hill,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford,
Yes.
Councilman Hester,
Yes.
Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dotley. Yes. Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Coonrod, Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
9 yeses.
Motion to approve Ray Atkins to the IDB board carries 9-0. Mr. Vice Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. At the last meeting of the IDB, Mr. Miller has resigned his position. And I would just like to thank him very much for all his years of service. He's been an integral member of this board for a very, very long time. And we really appreciate all his service to the city of Chattanooga. And to replace Mr. Miller, I am nominating James Floyd as a motion, please, sir.
We do have a motion on the floor with a proper second to nominate James Floyd to the IDB board. Any questions or comments before we vote? Madam Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilwoman Coonrod, Councilman Byrd,
Yes.
Councilwoman Dotley. Yes. Councilwoman Burrs,
Yes.
Councilman Hester,
Yes.
Councilman Ledford, Councilwoman Hill,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Henderson,
Yes.
9 yeses.
Motion to place James Floyd on the IDB board carries 9-0.
Will be for the remainder of Mr. Miller's term. I want to make sure you're aware of the term on that. It's normally a 6-year term, but this is to fill the rest of Mr. Miller's term, and then you will have to reappoint.
Thank you, sir. All right, that covers our other business. We now come to recognitions of persons wishing to address the council at this time. We do have attendees with us this afternoon on our Zoom. If you are on our Zoom call and you would like to address the council at this time, would you please raise your hand? Is there anyone in the audience that would like to address the council at this time? Would you raise your hand? Okay. Let me, let the city attorney read the rules to engage the council, and then you can come up one at a time. City attorney?
Yes. So we're now at the end of the council meeting, and the chair will recognize members of the public who wish to address the council. Here's the rules. Each speaker that wishes to address the council can only be done up at the microphone here in the meeting or on Zoom if we're outside. The speaker will have to provide their name, address, or council district residence before addressing the council. Can't have more than 3 minutes to speak and can address the council only on matters within their legislative and quasi-judicial authority and not upon matters that are not under the authority of this council or regulated by other governmental bodies or agencies. Can't use vulgar or obscene language used before to personally attack or personally denigrate others. Please address your comments to the council as a whole and not make comments directed towards individual council members. Having stated those rules, please come forward and speak.
Mr. IT, would you give us 3 minutes on the clock, please, sir? I have not seen anyone on our Zoom call that would like to address the council, so at this time, we'll take our audience.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Are we allowed to maskless up here?
If you would, you could take your mask off to address the council. And hold on 1 second, reset it to 3 minutes, please.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You give us your name and district, please.
Yes, thank you. Mike Price, MAP Engineers, District 4. I was here this evening to talk about item 6A, which was the request to abandon a portion of right of way. Having addressed this council many times over the years, that was the first time I was not afforded the ability to be able to address during public comment period as it relates to a right of way abandonment. I've done that many times before this council. What I would ask for consideration is that possibly that action be rescinded. There's actually a alternative version that has been discussed with the church previously during the meeting that I believe would be acceptable to both the church and to the developer. It would not be abandoning the entire right of way at this point. Negotiations and discussions are still taking place with the church, and rather than turning the entire request down, if the council would so consider to rescind possibly next week that motion and reconsider an alternative. And I understand I need to obviously get together with the councilwoman for that district to make sure that that fits what she believes, but certainly wanted to bring that to the attention of the council this evening, and then make sure that I understand also moving forward that I do or other individuals do have the ability to address the council as it relates to abandonments, because that's certainly been a process that I've understood and have done for the last countless years. So appreciate that, and hope they'll get up to the council maybe after the meeting if you've got time.
And Mr. Price, this is a deferred hearing. This is not the first hearing. This is a deferred hearing. That's the reason the council had already looked at that issue before.
Okay.
Yes.
I understand. Thank you.
All right, anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Thomas Bass. I represent Hamlin Chapel CME Church that Mr. Price just spoke about. He referred to the church. I'm the chairman of the board of stewards of the church. I'd just like to say that, like Mr. Price said, we have been in communication with the developer. We reached out to them no later than, I think, about 7 days ago, because we have a side issue that I'm not going to bring up here, but we have a side issue that we've been trying to resolve with the developer. But having said that, we want the alleyway to remain open. We've been using that alleyway, at least the 26th Street side of the alleyway. The 25th Street side of the alleyway that I think Mr. Price is referring to. Open it up, close it. I mean, it's fine with us. But with all the development that's getting ready to take place in the south side, where the church has been located for 8 or 9 years, we've been at that location for 62 years. Quite naturally, we had no parking problems. There's nothing there but us. But having said that, we already envision an enormous amount of traffic coming in that area. We don't want to park on the street, we want to park on our property. And that alleyway on the 26th Street side give us access to our own property. We're not asking for anything special. And then with regards to working with the developer, we are more than willing to do that. I spoke to CME, the nomination in Memphis, Tennessee, and they wanted me to express to the developer and to anyone else that's coming to that area that we want to be a good neighbor. We don't want to deny anybody their rights, but for whatever reason, we are a church. We serve God people. So that's what we want to convey to the developer and anyone else coming into the community. So I want to thank the council member for denying that request at this time. Thank you.
Anyone else like to address the council? Please come on.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen of the council. My name is Nicholas Quang. I live in St. Elmo. I am a resident of St. Elmo. I moved to Chattanooga in 2019. I am here tonight for you, a combined voice of the neighbors of St. Elmo. Within the last 3 months, we have had a substantial rise in crime, and I know my neighbors and I are very concerned of what's being done to the neighborhood. And I'm new to the area, and I understand in the last 2 years, it has been substantially risen. And I just would like to know the procedures of what we are doing as a city, if you guys are aware of it, and what we can do to change it if there's things in the works. That's really all I have.
Sir, I see Chief Bond in the back making some notes. If you'd like to get with her after the council meeting.
I appreciate it,
Conversation
sir.
with her.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Good evening, Council. I'm Money Bill, homeless journalist. We're here at Fox. Before I get started, I think I received some information today that you have either lived in the 30-day period and I am allowed to speak tonight. And I think I got information pertaining to that today. Thank you. The 11th Street encampment site. Since I can't address an individual on the council, and obviously I can't address the party or parties who left this flyer at our encampment on yesterday. It has the city seal on it, which is one thing, but it doesn't have any contact information on it. And that's what disturbs me. I can't contact anyone. I haven't received any contact from anyone in reference to the 11th Street encampment. We still don't have the proper bags. We were told that we would receive $4 per bag. This writing says that there's up to one large trash. Trash of what? Trash of the dumpster, trash of the people, trash of the laws that does not apply to us. Did this come from the office of the city mayor? Now, even though I don't have technical equipment there, I've been trying for it. I could produce this. I've been producing billboards and flyers since the age of 13. I could have done this. I don't want to think that I've been in this encampment for nearly 6 months, and this is what I get from the city's office. I ran for the office of the mayor. The city tried to disqualify me, and this is what I get on my 10th door after struggling, after dealing with liars at the top, liars at the bottom. Which group of liars do I side with? Because the encampment is still there and we're struggling. You're talking about bed bugs at Chat Inn. Well, we're not bringing bed bugs in because local people don't go to the hotels to resort for any reason. So maybe it's your tourists. We don't want bed bugs keeping us in this encampment. So can the city council as a whole tell me if the city mayor's office or anyone involved is responsible for this?
Sir, I can't tell you for sure. Joe, are you back there? All right, well, just not now, but get with Mr. Bell after. the meeting.
Thank you.
After maybe just give it Joe.
Thank you very much.
Anyone else like to address the council this afternoon?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Charles Parker. I'm a voice officer for the Untitled Chapter. I've been down there for a while too. Some guys now home, I'm not in a way that I am because I don't have a budget state. I cannot afford a budget state. Sure cannot afford to pay stay at a motel because of the price. Well, I just want to know what's going on down there. Are they gonna go ahead and move? What they gonna do down there? Move or what? Because a lot of people's in fear down there, including myself. What we gonna go next? You know what I'm saying? So they really ain't nobody down there come to sit so far. But this brother right here, he been working hard, and me and him been having some, problems about trying to go ahead and get things organized. But so far, he been doing his job. And I said, come on up and do my job. I hope a whole lot of us will start coming up because I'm not the only one really concerned about trying to get a better place. So a lot of us not down there at home. A lot of them just passed through, but a lot of them is home. I just need a place to stay. The problem is, it's housing authority. Not the housing authority, and also the community kitchen, the places that got places for people to go and stay without being out there on the ground, rain and water. You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden, they keep housing out the bulldozers coming through. There's a lot of fear down there. People don't have nowhere to go. And this is supposed to be America. And the mayors, the politicians here in Chattanooga who are already new, it's not doing nothing down there. They don't come down there and talk. You know what I'm saying? Or what they gonna do. They came down there when they want to do. Or vote. You know what I'm saying? But I ain't seen down there again. You know what I'm saying? But they concerned. This is Chattanooga. A lot of us on income, a lot of us veterans, a lot of us decent human beings. Trying to live everybody like that, because they're not home to feel down. A lot of people home because it's not a better house here in Chattanooga. That's what they like. The overlooks and all that place has been built, man, back. We talking about that fit. So they ain't built now, high rising for the homeless, for the baby boom, for the people my age, 67. There's a lot of us now that my age. Now they're up on over 60 something. That's the whole thing. Ain't no lot of young people down there. There's a lot of old people, who work for this, work and put their hard earned money into the system. And then this we get right here. When we go to the house or they pull it up. They're not finished, but we don't have no place to hide. But they got a whole lot of the building down there at the community kitchen. Not only that, even some of the churches. There's nobody here in Chattanooga coming up to really try to go here and say, well, you go a whole lot of empty building. They can go here and say, where you go, a big old warehouse across the street. Warehouses all around there. We ain't saying to come to leave. We try to wait to see these people go here and build some houses. One more day not building no house for the labor boomers. See what I'm saying? And I'm just saying places where people can go here and stay and live here in America. Sir, I just couldn't address y'all about that. There's not nothing been done down there. That brother right there, he got the only one I know that's been fighting but down there. Me and him have this and that. But like I said, he on his job and I'm trying to do my job to help myself and help the people down there. So with that, I'll continue to do this. Now, I hope y'all do something about it.
Thank you for coming back. Anyone else that would like to address the council this afternoon? Council, I'm not seeing any other hands. Let's go to the council. We are adjourned.